5 ways to generate coaching clients in January, February, and March. Now, when I did this for October, November, and December, it was one of my most popular videos of the last quarter of 2023, which is actually just when I relaunched the YouTube channel in general. And the feedback that I was getting and the messages I was getting was absolutely overwhelming. I already knew that this was going to be a staple, that every single quarter going forward for eternity, or as long as I do this YouTube channel, I'll be sharing specifically the things that are going to work in the months that are upcoming. Now, today we're going to talk about January, February, and March. Now, most coaches think January, there's so much opportunity. January is going to be so successful. I have been in the coaching space for 10 plus years, or well, way over 10 years in total here, coaching coaches specifically for 8.5 years. So working with thousands of coaches in close capacity. And I can tell you that having done so, every single coach looks at January as the easiest thing in the world. Like, I just have to show up to January and I'm going to have a really good month, so I can really look forward to it, okay? People are just going to be flooding my DMs, looking to work with me because it's January. January is going to be easy. And it's not the case. It's like they completely forget that January fell flat on its face the last January, the January before that, and the January before that once again. In this video, I'm going to go through exactly why that happens and how you can make sure that January is an absolute screamer, but also February and March continue with that momentum as well. If you're new here, every single week I share 2 or 3 videos on this channel specifically breaking down how you can get new coaching clients into your coaching business. So if you don't want to miss any of these, and we go into the ads dashboard and get granular with ads, we go into ClickFunnels and get into funnels and audit them and show you how to get people to convert. We go right through simple systems like we're going to go through today and break down how to get clients in the very month that we're in. So if you don't want to miss out on any of this, then hit subscribe, hit the like button, and if you're a really good person, drop a comment below, give me some feedback on the other side and tell me how ridiculous my beard is or something to that effect. Diving in, number 1 is 10-day tease, 21-day push, okay? The reason that most coaches absolutely ruin January is because they come flying out the gates on January the 1st, telling people about the limited amount of spaces that they have, that you have to be really quick. I'm taking on 5 more people just for January and things of that nature. And then when it falls flat on its face because nobody's ready to work with you on January 1st because they're dealing with hangovers and trying to get back into routines and kids are not back at school yet, and all of these things are playing into people just not being ready to pull the trigger on January 1st. They come flying out the gates in those first couple of days and nobody wants to listen to it, but they've kind of shot their shot too early and they do not have the ability to bring back that urgency and scarcity that they tried to put into their posts and their offers and possibly even their ads that early on in January. So you want to be very, very specific about how you utilize the first 10 days of January. Now, I call it the 10-day tease because it's nothing more than the fact that we're going to be talking about what is coming up 10 days down the line. Now, in this year, it would maybe be January 8th, so it may be a 7-day tease, and then you start going into selling mode on the other side. But just by simply taking that little bit of time, giving people the opportunity to get their ducks in a row, and if you utilize that time to let people know about what is coming on the 8th of January, for instance, this is going to make that launch even more successful. Further to that, if you tell people that there's an opportunity for them to skip the queue by reaching out and getting the details before anybody else, that is how you make sales for the fast movers on that first week of January. The week when most people launch their offers and they fall flat on their face, you have the ability to actually make sales without it doing anything negative to your actual launch. And what's even better, it actually makes the launch more successful when you actually put it out there. So albeit that was a little bit strategic, at the same time, the big thing that I just want to make clear to you is if you are holding on to that post that you've put together and you're ready to launch it, telling people that you're opening up your doors for January spaces, just know, just because you're an entrepreneur and you have fire in your belly and you're ready to rock and roll, and even between Christmas and New Year, you're writing out your goals and you're wanting to take action and all of those good things, the general public, for the most part, are not. Okay, so take that time, utilize the strategy that I just went through there, because you can make significant sales in the first week of January, but only when the fast movers feel like they're being given the opportunity to skip the queue. Number 2 here to maximize January, February, and March is to utilize very low cost ads. Now, January, especially at the start of January, when there's inverted commas January sales, it's nothing like Black Friday or the run up to Christmas, but there's a little bit of an amplification of CPMs, cost per 1,000 people that you put your ads in front of, a slight increase, and then it tails off very quickly. And then February and March are most typically the lowest CPMs, the lowest cost to advertise of the entire year. This gives you an amazing opportunity that at a time of year when people are amplifying their priority list to make change, and you're the person who is a coach who helps people change and transform and all of those good things that you help people do, you are in a space where other advertisers are tailing off and not advertising as much and not spending as much, and maybe not even on the platform in those moments. You can come on the scene at a time when your market is actually at its warmest. And so this isn't just to say that this is a great opportunity and a great time to advertise in general, because, for instance, the exact same ads could have half the cost per lead because it's costing half the amount to get in front of the same amount of people. So it's not just that you can half the cost per lead and therefore amplify profitability, but if you were to increase ad spend in that moment as well, the difference you can make to your business in January, February, and March when advertising is tremendous. Further to that, the advertising that you do in January, February, and March can have such an astronomical effect on the rest of the year. Imagine if, for instance, half the cost per lead and you double the ad spend. What does the maths come out at there? Exactly 4 times the amount of leads. So this is not just an opportunity like many of our clients who will run 5-day challenges, lead magnets, live masterclasses, and many of our other systems that are perfectly placed for their business. But they will have, let's say, 300 to 600 people come through every single time they turn their ads back on for 7 days, 300 to 600 leads. For the same ad spend, they could actually have 600 to 1,200 leads come through for the same ad spend. Now imagine if they doubled that ad spend and they were able to bring in, so that would be 1,200 to 2,400 leads coming into their coaching business every single time they turn their ads back on for 7 days. And all they're doing is doubling their ad spend, but for a very good reason with really great outcomes on the other side. What are the outcomes to the business when that happens? Well, of course, January, February, and March, when their opportunity for lower cost per leads are there and they can amplify their advertising and they can bring in multiples of what they usually see in a 7-day period. What happens after they've acquired all those great clients for their coaching business? They have tons of unconverted leads, because when we're advertising, we want crazy ROIs, and we can get them. Easily get an incredible ROI with a Facebook ad campaign. But let's say, for instance, you spend $500 on ads, you have a £1,000 coaching package, and you bring 100 people in, just for easiness of numbers here, into anything. And let's say you sell 5 people. You've spent 500, you've made 5,000 back, you've made a 10x return, but you've now got 95 people that you can follow up with your super spike offers, that you can follow up with daily emails, that you can follow up with organics if they're now following you there as well. All of these leads are now people who have been positively impacted by your advertising. They're either on your email list, they know, like, and trust you better, they've been through immersive experiences, and you can now utilize throughout the rest of the year this big chunky audience. So if in 7 days you can get, let's say, 300 leads come onto your email list, imagine if you were running that from January, February, and March and doubling your ad spend once again. So 600 leads coming in every single week, for instance. Imagine where your email list would be, where your friends list would be with prospects who can see your content, who might be following you on Instagram or any other platform. The opportunity to you in April and May and June and July and August and even in 2025, 2026, because of these leads that you acquired for your coaching business at this opportunistic time, it's incredible. That's why you'll see me turning the dimmer switch up in January and February and probably in March as well, because of the opportunity for the business, not just in terms of revenue in January, February, and March, but having all those additional leads that came through our systems, who are now on our email list, who are now in our remarketing audiences, who are now positively impacted by our boot camps and our lead magnets and all of those great things, and how that can affect our business and the ease of growth in the months ahead and the years ahead as well. So this is a great time to be advertising. It's a great time to advertise at any time of the year anyway. You might have seen so many of our clients reporting all-time record wins in December. I made a great point of making that very clear about once every 2 days on Instagram, sharing a win in our stories, specifically with clients who are hitting all-time record months in December. I was making a point that no month is a tough month for business if you know how to adjust your offers and your strategies, etc. Well, there's no better time than January, February, and March to be putting the foot on the gas with advertising, growing your audience, but most importantly, acquiring customers into your coaching business. And you can generate more leads through advertising in 7 days. Without being a pro at advertising, you can generate more leads in 7 days than you can organically in an entire year. So no better time than when CPMs, cost per 1,000 views, are at their lowest than to advertise and put the foot on the gas in January, February, and March. Number 3 is to adjust your messaging. Now, messaging just comes down to a couple of things. Really simple. It is objections and it's relevancy. So you need to think at any time of the year, and this again is a big reason why the clients had such a successful December, because they knew this stuff, right? Because we made a point at our November live event to make clear that December will be impacted by your ability to bring in relevancy and overcome the right objections. And that comes through your content, through your offers, through your sales calls, all of those different things. But in January, February, and March, if you want to stand out in the best way possible, to grab that attention when all other coaches are competing for eyes and ears, if you want to be able to stand out, you need to be relevant. In fact, in a roundabout way, when I think about it, this is a great example of it. I'm not just making a video of 5 ways to get coaching clients. I'm making a video of 5 ways to get coaching clients in January, February, and March. This is a great example of bringing relevancy to something that you could share. If you're a fitness coach, you might talk about the importance of being in a calorie deficit to lose weight, right? And the same coaches will say it over and over and over again, and the people that even followed them and liked them are starting to lose trust and starting to lose trust and starting to lose trust. Well, in December, you talk about how to stay in a calorie deficit through Christmas parties and all of those things. Simultaneously, in January, February, and March, you would adjust it to the messaging of the opportunities and the situations that they'll find them in January, February, and March, okay? So you need to adjust your messaging around 2024. Is this going to be your year? Is this going to be the year that you actually take action instead of just setting goals that never come to fruition? Are you going to be sitting there in 2025, in January, remembering this day right now and thinking to yourself, I'm actually going to take action here, but then you didn't? And now you're sitting in 2025. You can use future pacing like that, okay? So the amount of relevancy that you can have in January and February just around goal setting 2024, is this finally going to be the year? Have you already fallen off of your New Year's resolutions? Here's how to get back on track, and things of that nature is really, really important. Even your offers, having them as like New Year kickstarts and New Year this and New Year that is absolutely amazing as a way of taking your core product and repositioning it into a one-time opportunity that can have everybody who is currently sitting on the fence, that's been talking about working with you for months and years past, and have them jump off the fence and actually want to work with you, okay? So it touches everything. That's January and February. In March, you have an opportunity with relevancy that is really, really powerful that most coaches don't use. So most coaches who have any type of marketing education behind them, they might have been in mentorships and things like that, especially if they've worked with me, they'll know that when you get into sort of like April and May, using the angle of summer, and I'm not talking about just fitness coaches here, I'm talking about business coaches, I'm talking about career coaches, I'm talking about property coaches, I'm talking about all types of coaches. Everybody wants to be in the best shape of their life, financial position of their life, all of these things going into what feels like the most opportunistic time of the year, which is summer. Summer's the fun month, summer is the opportunity months, and everybody wants to be in the best position in their life in summer. It's a great angle to run with in those months. in March, maybe even in February to some extent, especially at the end of February here, relevancy around being spring ready or being in the best shape of your life or the best financial position of your life or the best this of your life before spring is also a great angle to use. Right? People see spring very closely related to summer in terms of how they feel about the excitement about it, about the opportunistic times, about days getting brighter, days getting longer, all of those things. So it's a great angle to use that most coaches never do. So in terms of relevancy and objection handling, these are some key ones that you can work with. Number 4 here is to simply know that February is January. Now, what I mean by that is that most coaches, they are from October, November, December, they're borderline hibernating and just praying and waiting for January to arrive. They think January is the best thing ever. It's going to be incredible. I just have to turn up and people are going to be throwing money at me. And it actually isn't the case, just like we talked about in point 1 today. However, it can be if you're using the things that are inside this video. February is when coaches then start to switch off again. They think that January, all the way till January 31st, is like an opportunity. And then February 1st hits and coaches take their foot off the gas. They think all the opportunity is gone, all of that new year buzz, etc. is gone. But any coach that has been in the space for over 2 years here will be able to tell you that February is more opportunistic than January. February is a month that if you want to put the foot on the gas, if you want to turn the dimmer switch up and have a month that can be an absolute monster and can build so much momentum that affects the rest of your year, February is that month to do it. Now, I'm not saying that January should be left behind by any means. January can be an absolute screamer, all-time record month, and it should be in your coaching business. But February is a short month that can be an absolute screamer and can absolutely kick the ass of January. Okay, so simply knowing that February is a huge opportunity, borderline bigger than January itself, is going to completely change the game for so many coaches who are watching this video right now, because otherwise you would, even if you weren't thinking it, almost like subconsciously taking the foot off the gas in February. February is a great month, and especially because February is the big month where the CPMs with your advertising come down. So those lower cost per leads, having more volume coming through everything that you advertise at the exact same cost. Okay, number 5 to close out here is actually going to be around sales. So I want you to, you should be using these to some extent throughout the entire year, but in January and February specifically, when people's priorities around the things that you help them with significantly go up. Like they've followed you for the last 18 months, it's been important to them, they've always wanted to change, they've always wanted to transform, they've always wanted to achieve X, Y, and Z, but it's always been like priority number 5, priority number 7, priority number 12, and it moves on a day-to-day basis based upon how busy they are and things that are on in their life, right? It happens for all of us. People are always moving in and out of the market, okay? However, in this opportunistic time, their priorities are sky high. And so when people are giving you the most common of objections, which is usually the price objection, you want to come with downsells ready. You don't want to, on the spot, try and work out how you can help them get to a yes. And second of all, you don't want to be going discounting. When you start to discount, especially if you're in premium coaching, as soon as you start discounting, like, this is the price, so I can't do that. Well, what can you do? Can you do this? And then it's actually discounting the product. Number 1, you're going to end up with tons of people that are really pissed off that other people are getting different prices. And second of all, the majority of the time that doesn't get to a yes because you lose all of that trust. It's like, why was I offered this price if this price was just going to be offered if I said no? It doesn't work long term, even short term, it doesn't really work. However, something else that does work really well is to use downsells. And downsells is when you don't discount, but you help them towards a yes by adjusting the pricing structure. For instance, very simple. Instead of having a monthly price point for your product, which many coaches do, having like a 90-day or a 6-month price point for your product allows you to give people the option of a 2-split payment. When that 2-split payment is shared with somebody who was almost at a yes already, but they said no in the end, that can be easy to get somebody over the line. The second one, if they say no to that, you can have a 3-split pay ready. Do you see how you can adjust and you can have multiple steps of downsells? We have a training called the 5 steps of downsells inside the private coaching in the Ads and Funnels Mastermind. It is such a game changer because it doesn't feel like you're hard selling people. You're not having to majorly come over objections. It's why so many of our clients that you'll see have made testimonial videos for us. I don't know if this happens anywhere else, by the way, but most of our testimonial videos, will actually reference the sales calls that they were on, that we were never pushy, that we told them to go away and think about it, and it's like the most seamless thing ever, and people literally make their choice whether they want to work with us. We don't overcome objections. We love to give the tools to our coaches that we work with to also not have to put themselves in that like horrible position of having to twist the knife and make people feel terrible and overcome objections and all of those things. One great way to do it is, instead of telling people why they're wrong and they should be taking action when they say they can't afford it, or asking them can they beg, borrow, or steal to get it, alternatively you can just say, how about we split it in two? Would that work for you? Like, we won't even put a premium on it, we'll just take the price, we'll split it in two, you can pay the first half, you can pay the other half in 30 days. How does that sound? That can help that person get what it is that they actually want, and they've got a payment plan that suits them. If they say that they can't do a 2-pay, then you might even be able to offer them a 3-pay or something else to that effect. Having these ready though means that you're not fluffing about on the spot trying to close the sale. Instead, it can just be the natural place that you go. If somebody says that they do want this, but they can't afford it, you can give them the split pay option, and it can allow them to spread the payments and to get access to the thing that they really want. At the end of your year, the exact amount of revenue is the same as if they had paid in full at the start, but you will acquire significantly more clients by not having to get off that call and just say they were unqualified, they couldn't afford it, they weren't right for the product. Instead, you've actually just used downsells to get that payment over the line, and by month 2 or month 3, they've paid the entire balance off anyway. Okay, so this was 5 ways to get clients in January, February, and March. If this has been valuable to you, hit the like button, hit subscribe if you don't want to miss any more of these videos, and hit me down below as well with a comment whether you would like me to do this quarterly, where I deep dive into how to specifically get coaching clients in the very months that we're about to go into. And if you want me to do that, I will do that for the rest of 2024 and 25 and 26 whenever you're watching this as well. Other than that, I'll see you on the next video.